Tanty, teaching you the language of beats. Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Podcast with the Magoon. We are currently recording this episode live right now, right after the game of the Stanley Cup Finals of the Blues winning. And today on the episode, of course, we're going to be talking about Jordan Binnington being the fifth rookie goaltender to win a cup, dominating in Game 7. We're going to talk about Ryan O'Reilly, who won the Conn Smythe, which is the MVP for the series, that he tied Wayne Gretzky with four straight goals in the Stanley Cup Finals. Also, we're going to talk about Kyrie to partner with ROC Nation, which we'll get into that. And last but not least, can Phil Mickelson win the U.S. Open to complete the Grand Slam? So let's get right into the podcast. All right, we're going to get into our first topic of the podcast, and that is Jordan Binnington being the fifth rookie goaltender to ever win a Stanley Cup. Also, he dominated. Literally dominated in Game 7 at Boston, which was impeccable for a rookie like him, who won 16 wins in the Stanley Cup playoffs alone. So, looking at Binnington, the list that he is on, the list that Binnington is on, and these are some great goaltenders. He's on a very small list, and the four other goaltenders, one you may know of, the other three you might not. The one you may know of is Matt Murray from the Pittsburgh Penguins. And Matt Murray joined that in 2016. So for Binnington to join that list with Matt Murray and the other three people that you may or may not know, which is Cam Ward, Patrick Roy, and Ken Dryden, for him to join that list and for him to take the team where it was and only play 30 regular season games and have a 24-5-1 record. Binnington had 24 wins, 5 losses, and 1 OT loss. Now, for somebody that was last in the division, probably no one thought they would be where they at. No one would think that the Blues had a chance to win the Cup from midseason. From where they were last in the Central Division to making the playoffs, to not only making the playoffs, but from going to the playoffs, to the Stanley Cup Finals, and beating the Boston Bruins in 7 at Boston. And we talked about this before. For Binnington to go, and I've seen it, he in Game 3, Binnington let 7 goals in and lost 7-2 against the Boston Bruins at Game 3 at home at St. Louis. Then Game 4, he comes right back out and wins 4-2. And then Game 5, he comes right back out and wins 2-1. And then Game 6 at the Blues again at St. Louis, he loses 5-1. He lets another 5 in. But to see what he's done on the road, and for the Blues record, this playoffs is a 10-3 record on the road for the St. Louis Blues. It's just crazy. It's just crazy to think that a team from midseason, no chance, to where they are now, to having a 10-3 road record in the playoffs, and Binnington having a 16-10 record in the playoffs itself too. So for Binnington to join that list, and for Binnington to have 32 saves on 33 shots in Game 7 at the Bruins is amazing itself, and I don't think this guy gets enough credit for what he's done for the Blues. We're going to get into the Ryan O'Reilly and other stuff later, but for Binnington to come in for Jake Allen, who was usually the starting goaltender for the Blues, and just come in and dominate. And that record, I have to repeat that record to you guys, that 24-5-1 record in 30 games, that's insane. He came in mid-season and got that team into a playoff from his outstanding play and outstanding body of work and outstanding goaltending during the regular season. And then to come in the playoffs and go 16-10. I mean, that's something in itself. But let me know in the comments below, do you think Binnington is one of the best rookie goaltenders you've seen, or do you still think Matt Murray might be a better goaltender in the 2016 series than him? Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. I think, personally, Binnington has had a better rookie season, than Matt Murray did in 2016, and I can't wait to see what he does in the coming years for the Blues. And we're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back with the Sports Podcast with Magoon. Did you know that you can follow the Sports Podcast with the Magoon on Instagram and Twitter by going to your Instagram and Twitter and typing in the search bar McGoon Podcast? That is McGoon Podcast again, and hitting the follow button. This will alert you and notify you when new episodes go live. I tweet and I post on Instagram when the new episodes are live and where you can find them. The links will be in the description to the Twitter and the Instagram, so make sure you guys go follow those and stay connected. All right, let's get into our second topic here of Ryan O'Reilly ties Wayne Gretzky with 4 straight goals in the Stanley Cup Finals games. So when we're talking about this, you're comparing Ryan O'Reilly to one of the greatest hockey players of all time, Wayne Gretzky, who Ryan O'Reilly won the Conn Smythe Trophy and record 23 points in the playoffs. I think for him to do that might be one of the best things I've seen in a while. For Ryan O'Reilly to put up those types of numbers, I don't think himself. I thought if someone was going to put up those type of numbers, I thought it would be Tarasenko. Honestly, I thought Vladdy Tarasenko was going to probably put up those numbers. But for Ryan O'Reilly to put that type of numbers up during the playoffs, I mean, in itself is amazing. I can't believe that he tied Wayne Gretzky's with 4 straight goals in the Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, and really looking at Ryan O'Reilly, I mean, he averaged, 2 points a game almost? So if we're looking at this, he got 1 assist, then 2 goals, 1 goal, and then another goal. And then we're looking at his stats for the year in the regular season. He had 28 goals and 49 assists on 77 points of a plus-minus of 22. Now, I don't know about you, but 28 goals in the regular season, it's crazy to think about that guys nowadays can score 30, 40 goals in a season. Ryan O'Reilly got 28. And then to come into the playoffs and to think about this, for career playoffs, he got 10 goals total. Right? So in his career, in the playoffs, he's only gotten 10 total goals. 8 of them have come from this playoffs. Not only that, in his career playoffs, he's gotten 18 assists. 15 of those have came from these playoffs. Also, 23 of the 28 points of his career have came from this playoff. So all in all, I would say that Ryan O'Reilly has had one of the best playoff performances we've seen in a while. To tie Wayne Gretzky himself is something to really recognize. I mean, you're talking about tying one of the greatest hockey players of all time. You're tying his record. And back then, I would say it was easier to score goals. You would score more goals back then. But for Ryan O'Reilly to do what he did in today's age of game, where Tuukka Rask, who was a Vezina winner, who was definitely not a bad goaltender, who's probably one of the best goaltenders in the league, I mean, for him to do that on Tuukka Rask, and for him to do that with only 28 goals in the regular season is something in itself of amazing. For him to do that, and especially against the Boston Bruins, who I definitely did not see him doing that against, it's just, it's amazing. But we also have to realize that he did, before getting traded to the St. Louis Blues, he did play for the Sabres, and that's why his career playoff numbers were not high, because the Sabres did not make the playoffs that much. But if we're looking, when the only other time he's ever gotten 28 goals in a season, in the regular season, was with Colorado in 2013-2014. And the 28 that he got now ties his career high for goals, and he surpassed his second highest was 39 in a season for assists. He surpassed that by 10. And this year he had his highest points, tied his highest goals, had his highest assists. That just shows you going from a Sabres team who was never probably ever going to make the playoffs, but going from that team to a Blues team where you're on a better line, have a better weapon. It's simple. It makes sense for him to have better numbers that he did on the Sabres. But I just think for him to put up the numbers he did in the playoffs, not having that much playoff experience, only 31 games in the playoffs, for him not having that much experience in the playoffs, for him to put up those numbers, I think it's amazing. I still think that he had one of the best playoff performances I've ever seen for someone who doesn't have that much experience besides Binnington. Besides him, Binnington, who has not had much experience, besides the 26 games he's played already, just like Ryan O'Reilly, I think that both of those guys have had an amazing playoff run this playoffs, and that's just something that I will probably remember. Not even being a Blues fan, I will probably still remember what they did in the playoffs for the rest of my life, just because it was a historical run for Binnington, it was a historical run for Ryan O'Reilly, and it was a historical run for the St. Louis Blues. And now we're going to cut to a quick break, and we'll be right back with the Sports Podcast with Magoon. Hey, you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Hey, did you know you have a chance of joining the Sports Podcast with Magoon by going into the description below and clicking the link to join the Discord? But if you're listening to this on iTunes, Spotify, or SoundCloud, you can go to the YouTube channel, click on a video, and any video will have the link in the description below to join the Discord and have a chance to join the podcast with Magoon and talk about any sporting event. So make sure you guys go do that. All right, so getting back into our third topic here, Kyrie signing with the ROC Nation. Interesting enough, ROC Nation is owned by Jay-Z himself, which he is a part owner in the Brooklyn Nets. So to me, is that saying that Kyrie is going to go to the Nets? I mean, possibly. I think Kyrie is a 90% done deal with the Nets. I think that's where he'll end up, and that's where he's going to go. Do I think Kyrie still has a chance to go to the Knicks since, it's around that area? Possibly. I think it's like a 20% chance. But if you're going to sign with Jay-Z's, management brand and you're going to, sign with him, I think it's possible and probably most likely that you're probably going to end up with the Nets. And if you're going to end up with the Nets, since D'Angelo Russell is a restricted free agent, you'll have him and Kyrie, and that only makes the team better. Because they did make the playoffs last year with D'Angelo Russell, so adding Kyrie only helps D'Angelo Russell have another weapon. So now you got Joe Harris who could shoot, Russell who can drive and shoot, and Kyrie who can drive and shoot. That gives you 3 shooters on the floor at all time. Now, is that saying that, the Nets can't pick up somebody else besides just Kyrie? No, they could. There's plenty of people out there that they can pick up. But, I don't know. I just Levert is also pretty good, but I think Kyrie's a done deal with the Nets. I think Russell is obviously going to get signed back. They can match any offer for Russell, and I think Joe Harris is only going to improve from last season, and his 3-point percentage is just going to stay where it was or even be better. But looking at Bleacher Report right now, we see that just an hour ago, Jonas Valanciunas with the Memphis Grizzlies declined his 17.6 player option is testing free agency, and I would too. I wouldn't want to play for the Memphis Grizzlies. No offense to Memphis fans. I mean, I think Memphis is in a rebuilding state right now, and Jonas Valanciunas is not the player that you want. So him declining that option gives him the ability to go to any other team that would pick him up. So interesting now is that now you have Jonas Valanciunas and Vucevic in this free agency as centers. And you have Lopez and you have Marc Gasol. So, I mean, that's a lot of centers right there. And a team that needs the centers is the Lakers. The Lakers need the centers out there. They need at least one. And they have to get one. Also in here, we're looking at what Kemba Walker said earlier. It said, if the Charlotte Hornets are able to keep Kemba Walker this offseason free agency, it may not take a supermax contract to do so, according to a reporter for the Hornets. Walker said he would take less money than the maximum amount of money he could earn in a new contract if that meant the Hornets would have the financial flexibility to build a title contender. Interesting. So basically, he's saying that he'll pass up on a supermax to hopefully have the Hornets management build a team around Kemba. And I mean, that's smart. I mean, it makes sense. You know, it makes sense for Kemba to say that because, I mean, he does love the city. He does love playing there. And I was saying that he's probably one of the best. He's probably better than it's a stretch, but I think he's a better free agent this offseason than Kyrie Irving. And the reason I say that is because you see where he took that Hornets team. He almost took them to the playoffs. If they just had one more guy that was a top player, they would have been in the playoffs easily. Kemba Walker is a guy who can make a difference for your team. So if he doesn't go to the Hornets and they don't start adding players around him, I think he would go to the Lakers with LeBron. And I think the Lakers possibly, I think it's in a 60-40 state of them getting AD. I think that the Lakers could have a 60% chance to get AD in this offseason through a trade. And the Lakers saying that they don't want to trade Kuzma is obviously idiotic. You're going to have to trade Kuzma for AD. I would too. If that means championships, I mean, I would too. You have to trade Kuzma. You're not going to get to keep Kuzma, Hart, Ingram. You're not going to keep and Lonzo. You're not going to get to keep all those guys. You're going to have to trade some of them. If the Pelicans want Kuzma, trade Kuzma. Now, if the Lakers are playing the long game, and guess what? You're not going to be winning any championships because LeBron's going to be leaving after the season. LeBron has said, and I quote, that if the Lakers don't add anyone in this free agency and they don't make a big splash, that there is a possibility that he will request for a trade. I think that is very possible. I think if the Lakers don't make a splash, they don't get Kemba, they don't get a center, they don't get Vucevic, they don't get AD through a trade, they don't get this guy, they don't get that guy, I think LeBron's done. LeBron came there to win the Lakers another championship. He came there to play in a bigger spotlight in a bigger city. He came there to have the GM in the front office build a team around him so that can put them in a position to win a championship for the Lakers. Now, if you're not going to do that for LeBron, then, I mean, it's going to be hard trying to win with a bunch of young guys who've never had playoff experience, nor has never made the playoffs yet. Think of it this way. If I'm the Lakers, why would you want to keep Kuzma, Ingram, Hart, and Lonzo? Besides the age, you know, I know they're young, and I know they're all still progressing into better players. But if you want to win a championship and we start making the playoffs, I mean, get guys with experience. Literally AD and the Pelicans, when if AD had a better player on his team, like just one better player, I think they could took Golden State to Game 7 when they were in that playoff series. AD almost beat Golden State by himself. So saying that you don't want to trade Kuzma for AD is crazy, because if you had AD, LeBron, Vucevic, and Kemba Walker, just listen to that lineup. if you get Kemba Walker in the offseason, if he doesn't sign with the Hornets, if you get Vucevic in the offseason because you have enough money to get 2 of those Supermax players, or I don't think Vucevic is a Supermax, but if you did want to, you have enough money to do that. Not only that, you get AD from a trade. You trade Kuzma, Ingram, and Lonzo Ball. I would say those 3 are gone. Keep Josh Hart at your shooting guard. That way you have somebody that can shoot. So you're looking at this starting lineup possibly. You're looking at Kemba, Josh Hart, LeBron, AD, Vucevic. Why would you not want that? I don't know why anybody wouldn't want that lineup and try not to make that happen, you know? And of course, AD's contract's going to come over, so they might not have the cap room once his contract comes over, but right now they do have the cap room to sign Vucevic and Kemba. So I think all in all, I think Kyrie, since he's signing with ROC Nation, I think he's going to go to the Nets. I think it's a done deal for him. I think he's had enough with the Celtics. He's tried over there. He wants to go to the Nets now. So I think since he is intensely interested, I think he's going to the Nets. I think the Lakers need to make a big splash this offseason, and if they don't, I think LeBron's leaving. So let me know in the comments below, guys, if you think the Lakers will sign someone big or if they'll get the AD trade done. Also, let me know if LeBron's leaving. If they don't do any of that, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the Sports Podcast with Magoon. Hey, did you guys know that I do another podcast with my friend Houston called the Late Night Podcast? If you guys want to check that out, the link is in the description below. Also, I do have a main channel where I post gameplays. If you guys want to go check that out, the description will be, or in the description below will be the links to the main channel for the Twitch, the Twitter, the Instagram, and the YouTube. So if you guys want to go check out the other podcasts that I do or my main channel, it's all in the description below. Make sure you guys go check it out. I think you'll enjoy, and enjoy the rest of the podcast. All right, getting into our last topic here, we're going to talk about Phil Mickelson and can he win the U.S. Open this weekend, and it is going on live right now, so if you guys want to go check that out, make sure you guys go check the U.S. Open out. It is probably one of the biggest tournaments of the year for the PGA besides the other 3 majors that we're going to be talking about. So, can Phil Mickelson finally can Phil Mickelson win a U.S. Open and complete the career Grand Slam? And in golf, the career Grand Slam is winning the U.S. Open in a career, the Masters in your career, the British Open, or the Open as it's called now, in your career, and the PGA Championship. So you need to have all 4 of those wins in your career, right? But Phil Mickelson's only had the Open, the Masters, and the PGA Championship. He's never won a U.S. Open yet. Out of his whole playing career, he's never won it. Now, will Phil Mickelson win it this year and finally complete his career Grand Slam? I'm going to say no. I just don't think he will get it done this year. And I could be very wrong. But the way that Rory McIlroy played in the RBC Canadian Open last week, and the way that, Ricky Fowler's been playing, and Scott Piercy's playing good, and Brooks Koepka's playing good, and Tiger's in this tournament, he's a wild card to me. Dustin Johnson's going to be playing good. I mean, you got a lot of guys in here. Alex Noren could turn it up. He's usually pretty good. Phil Mickelson finished 1 over today already. He already played his round. So that's what I'm saying. Do I think he could win? Justin Thomas could turn it around too. He's 2 over right now. Spieth's in it. I'm not really sure where he's at right now, but that's what I'm saying. There's just so many guys in here nowadays, and the competition's so much harder. If he had won it earlier in his career, I think, I would have been more optimistic for him winning it, like a year ago or so. But winning it now, I don't think so, man. I'm sorry. There's just so much competition. And to really look at Phil Mickelson and how he just struggles in the U.S. Open, I just can't see him getting it done against all these guys. I mean, right now, he's 1 over in the first round. Ricky Fowler's 5 under. Scott Piercy 4 under. Louis Oosthuizen 4 under. I mean, Rory McIlroy 3 under. That's what I'm saying. I just can't see Mickelson winning it, and it sucks because I love Lefty. The guy's funny. He's a good golfer, or a great golfer, but I don't think he's ever going to get his career Grand Slam done. He's not as good as he was a couple years ago. Of course, that's aging, but at the same time, like I said, if he would have won it a couple years ago, then yeah. If you told me and asked me, do you think he'll win it like 3-4 years ago, I would have said yes. Now, probably not. Who do I think will win it? I think Ricky, Roy, and Koepka have the best chances. Jason Day, I also love Jason Day. I think Jason Day has a really good chance of winning it too. I love the guy. He's a great golfer. He's probably one of my favorites. I think Dustin Johnson just sitting at even right there. I think he can win it too. I think all these guys are around even par. I think 1 over is good too. So Phil Mickelson's in the safe zone right now. But I mean, guys sitting around even and 1 under, I think have the best chance. Like Dustin Johnson, I think can turn it up. I think Jason Day has a really good chance at winning it. Sergio Garcia, if he has a good week. Mark Leishman, John Rahm could do really well. Xander Schauffele, Gary Woodland. All those guys, Hideki Matsuyama, who I like watching a lot. He's a good golfer. Zach Johnson usually is playing pretty well. Tommy Fleetwood is pretty good. So I think all those guys that I mentioned have a really good chance. Hong Tong Lee could do pretty well. I mean, Patrick Reed. The thing with Patrick Reed is his putting has to be on, if that makes sense. His putting has to be going. If his putter's not going, he's not gonna win. Because he's probably one of the best ball strikers in the PGA Tour, but he's not one of the best putters. So he needs to work on his putting. I don't know, Justin Thomas, and I'm not really sure where Brooks is right now. Justin Thomas sitting at 2 over is probably not the best chance to win it. He'll probably have to shoot a 64 or like a 66 tomorrow, just in order to catch back up. I mean, Ricky shot a 66 today. I don't know, man. In the FedEx Cup standings right now, he is 8th. He's actually projected to be 3rd after this tournament. From where he is right now, that's if he wins. Roy's going to stay at 2nd in the world. And there's Dustin at 6. He's projected 6. He's projected to drop 1 now. If he stays in that position for the rest of the tournament, which probably won't happen. I could see Dustin turning it around. So, Koepka has not gone off yet. Koepka goes off at 1:47 p.m. So, if you're listening to this right now, it'll probably be too late to watch him, but make sure you guys watch him tomorrow. So, Spieth, Justin Rose, Tiger Woods, Koepka, those guys all have a good chance of winning it. They have not teed off yet. Tony Finau has a great chance of winning it. Adam Scott does too. All these guys, Matt Kuchar has a good chance of winning it. Hasn't gone off yet. A lot of these guys have not gone off yet. Wow. Let's see what else isn't going off. No, really just those guys. So, and Poulter could win it possibly. But yeah, we'll see. We'll just have to see. Going into this tournament, do I think Phil can win a Grand Slam from this tournament? Probably not. But do I think it's going to be one of those top guys like Dustin, Koepka, McIlroy, or Fowler, or one of those guys? Yeah, I do. Or Spieth, possibly. I think one of those guys are going to win it, or Day could win it. There's just a lot of possibilities. I think the best chance, in my opinion, and I'm going to narrow it down for you guys. I think the 2 guys that I think have the best chance of winning it is Ricky and Roy. I think those 2 guys, you'll see one of those 2 guys win it probably. If I'm wrong, I usually am wrong by predicting this. Then yeah, but right now, to me, I think Ricky could win it just from the position he's in right now, and I think Roy can win it just because of how he's been playing in the past few weeks. So let me know in the description below, or let me know in the comments below, not the description, my fault. Let me know in the comments below who do you guys think is going to win the U.S. Open, and do you think Phil Mickelson is going to ever win another Open to complete the career Grand Slam and probably solidify him as one of the best golfers? I wouldn't say he's the best golfer ever, but it'll probably solidify him as a Hall of Famer, definitely. Even if he's not already, I think he is a Hall of Famer already. But again, let me know in the comments below what you guys think and who's going to win it. And sadly, that is all the time we have for the Sports Podcast with Magoon. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. And if you did, hope you come back for another episode of the Sports Podcast. Make sure you guys go follow the Twitter and Instagram, which is Magoon Podcast, for both of them to stay connected for alerts when these episodes go live. Make sure you guys also go check out the Late Night Podcast with me in Houston, my friend. The links will be in the description to the YouTube and the Spotify and the iTunes, hopefully, when it gets approved. Also, make sure you guys go check out my main channel where I post gameplays. The Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube will all be in the description below. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Goodbye.